Hey guys, welcome back. It's that time. If you look behind me here, the lights are all green. We've hit the 6 month period of the year. Today is Canada Day. By the time this video comes out, it will be tomorrow, July 2nd. But it's that time to review the 6 month dividends for both my wife and I. And I have to say, the last few weeks in the market have been really, really down. But this past week, typically the last 3 days of the week, I don't recall if it was four or not, but the last 3 days of the week, the market shot way up. So hopefully you guys had the opportunity to get some more shares during those down weeks when everything seemed to be going south quite a bit. But needless to say, they recovered back this end of this past week. And of course, it was also the end of the month of June, meaning we've hit the halfway mark. So I'm going to go over our dividend portfolio and where we're at and whether we're going to hit our goals or not. Stick around. So if you saw my last video where I looked at the dividends after the first quarter of 2023, this screen you're looking at now will look familiar to you. It lists on the very, very top the dividend payments by month for both my wife and I, with the total going across all the way to the far right for the grand total, or the current running total, I guess, for 2023. Down below that, you'll see on the left-hand side the dividends for June 23 in my portfolio, and then the dividends for June 2023 for my wife's portfolio. A lot of very similar stocks between the two of us. And in that as well, as you'll see the 2023 year to date for that particular stock. So how many dividends we have actually received so far as at the end of June. So the cumulative total for each stock. And then the far right column for both of us is the indicator of the dividend payment, whether it's monthly or quarterly. And if it is quarterly, what months do they typically pay in? So you can see there the grade columns at the top for both of us are the monthly payers, and we receive dividends every month for those. And the ones down below, typically you'll see anywhere from 1 to 3 in each of those groups down below, depending on the month that we're at. So just a couple of quick notes. You will notice to the left of my dividend paying companies, and to the far right of my wife's, you'll see an asterisk. Basically, since my last update, which was in March, this is the kind of the biggest changes, if you will. A lot of the stocks we have held on to, we haven't sold, we haven't decreased or sorry, increased. With the exceptions of those asterisks. So you see on my grouping there, Northwest Health, very, very turbulent times for them right now. Although they have not as yet cut the dividend, I have increased slightly there from 300 to 350 shares. Northland, in my last update, I had a pretty good position in there, but I'm up over 100 shares now with them. You'll notice up above as well, Severia. I didn't highlight it, or I didn't put an asterisk by it, but in my last update, I held 300 shares of Severia. And very recently, after the Severia declared dividend or ex-dividend date, I did sell 100 shares of Severia, and that allowed me to increase my position in Canadian Tire, which has gone from 12 shares in my last update up to 20. Huge difference in price there. But one of the things, and maybe I'll do a separate video on that later, but one of the things that I've always said about my wife and my portfolio, I really like to find dividend paying stocks that also show capital appreciation. And in the example of Severia, Severia is a company that has given us a very, very decent capital appreciation. We're up over, I think, $2.60 or $2.70 from our average price up to Friday's close. And their dividend, however, is quite low. But what that allowed us to do is to sell some of those stock at a profit, a decent profit, and then buy into Canadian Tire or increase the position in Canadian Tire. Now, the nice part is since I've done that, both Severia and Canadian Tire have increased in price. And this was kind of the mid part of last week where I did this. But the Severia stock is back up. It had dropped a fair bit during the last few weeks, but it's now back up right into the range of what it was for a $2 and roughly 70 cent increase per share. Canadian Tire, it has gone up crazy. And we're now up, or I'm up, over $11 on my average cost per share. And they have a great dividend. So, again, that combination of great dividend, capital increase, it kind of allows you to get one or the other in as many stocks as you can. But there's some that just have a great dividend and very good capital appreciation. I'm looking and hoping that Canadian Tire will be one of those stocks. Exchange Income Corporation is another one for us so far that's been really, really good. So, as you can see there, I'm not going to go over the exact amounts, but coming down to the bottom line total there's $225.76 for myself, and for my wife, $262.28, for a total of $488.04 over the course of the month for us. And you can notice one thing as well. So now that we're hitting into that second set, or that second quarter, the end of the second quarter, we can compare, again, putting this all together, we compare January to April, as 1 and 4 is where we're typically going to get those similar dividends. And then we can compare February and May, and then we can compare March and June. So the 36912, the 25811, or the 14710 being those quarterly payments. And one thing you'll notice if you look back in March, the March payment was actually higher than the June payment. And the reason for that, you'll see on the one column here, I have a blank. That's where I had the Hamilton HYLD ETF fund that was a very, very high paying dividend. I did sell it and disperse those proceeds to other shares that I bought. But in doing that, I've now lost, technically, I've lost some money. Well, we both have, actually, because we were both in it. But we've lost some dividend money. But I can gladly say we have made up for that in the capital appreciation, because if you look at HYLD today, it's really not much more, or actually it might even be a little bit less, but it's not much more at all than it was when I sold it. Still paying a decent dividend, a very decent dividend, but our capital gain has not been there. And that's where getting into these other stocks that I have, sure, we've lost a little bit in our monthly dividends. We'll make that up over time, but the capital appreciation has been great for us. Anyway, over on the right-hand side, you can see the changes in my wife's portfolio. She, I don't believe, had any Northland stock at all. And when I sold 100 Savaria stocks for her, we really bumped that up. She was sitting at around 42, which I think is the payment. We missed the dividend ex-dividend date, but we have since increased that. So she's now up at 100 shares of Northland Power. And Slate Grocery, we did a slight increase there. Again, grocery REIT that pays a great dividend. We've lost a little bit of capital there, but again, I think it's because of the interest rates right now. Not overly concerned with that at all. And while I don't have any Canadian Tire stock in my wife's portfolio, she does hold the Canadian Tire Real Estate Investment Trust. And so we've gotten a bit of a position there with her shares as well in the CT REIT. So that's kind of it for the month. As you can see, Fortis, Manulife, and CN Rail for both of us has given us our similar dividend to the last time that we collected dividends. I don't believe any, actually, no, CN Rail didn't. I don't believe any of them have increased their dividend in this payment that we just received in June. But moving forward into future months, there are a few others that have increased their dividend. So we'll be looking forward to that. The goal that I had set for the year at the beginning of the year was $5,000 in dividends between the two of us. We're currently sitting at $2,513.60. So if we don't buy anything more this year and there's no dividend cuts by any of our stocks, we'll hit that goal. Will there be dividend cuts? Well, there could be a bit of a concern there from Northwest Health. All others, I don't see any that I'm overly concerned about at all cutting their dividend. Hopefully that some of them increase it. But we're certainly planning on buying more, as we're only 6 months into the year, and we certainly are not at our capacity yet for our TFSA. So in all likelihood, we're well on our way to achieving our goal of $5,000 in dividends this year. So that's the summary for the closing of June 2023. To all of my Canadian subscribers, happy Canada Day. And to all of the other subscribers out there, Thank you very much for tuning in. Always appreciate you guys watching these videos and the comments that you make in the videos themselves. So that's going to wrap it up for this edition or this session. As I always say, this has not been any investing advice. It just kind of shows you, or gives you a glimpse into what my wife and I are doing with our portfolios. And hopefully there's some knowledge that you can gain from some of these videos that I do. As I always ask at the end of each video, if you've enjoyed this or if you've enjoyed any of my videos, I would please encourage you to hit that like button and click on that Marksy's Place logo to subscribe to the channel. That's it for now. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon.